to our final Jets overtime of the 2022 NFL season. The New York Jets drop their sixth consecutive game, this time at the hands of the Miami Dolphins. The final in South Florida today was 11-6. Conversely, the Dolphins are going to the postseason. They will be the AFC's number 7 seed, courtesy of their victory over the division rivals, the Jets. And then you pair that with the Buffalo Bills taking down the New England Patriots. So a bitter pill for the Jets to swallow today as we welcome in Quincy Enunwa. Quincy, bottom line for the Jets, not enough offense, familiar refrain. You're talking about 3 games now against Jacksonville, Seattle, and now Miami, where the Jets scored 15 points, 5 Greg Zuerlein field goals. They averaged 5 points a game over their final 3 games.
Yeah, and not only on the offense, I definitely want to give attention to the offense, but also defensively, they still haven't been able to get too many turnovers this season. That's also been a name of the game on their side. But offensively, they just can't get it going. You know, the offensive line has had so many people shuffle in and out, and that's created a big gap in talent, big gap in production for them. They can't get the run game going. They can't protect the quarterback, so now you're not able to get the ball to your playmakers. I mean, Garrett Wilson had a great game today, but overall, they just weren't able to get the ball out. They weren't able to run the ball, and that's one thing I really hope that they will be able to do. It was a challenging Miami defense, but, you know, that's something that you need to do as a football team.
Yeah, I thought Joe Flacco gave his all inside that pocket, but like you were mentioning, Robert Saleh said after the game, he was constantly under duress. And you mentioned Garrett Wilson, He was targeted 17 times today, comes away with 9 catches. It felt like for the Jets, who are so offensively challenged right now, if it wasn't 17, it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. If it wasn't 17, it wasn't going to happen. They really had nowhere else to go. Like I said, it was definitely difficult for him to get the ball out. You see here, he's making some plays to Garrett Wilson, but other than him, nobody else was really able to make plays. I love what Elijah Moore did in the beginning of the game, though. He had a great great route. I wish they could have gotten the ball to him more. Even Corey Davis had one play where he caught the ball and really got physical. So I feel like guys showed up to play today. It just wasn't a team effort. And again, this is something that we talk about every week. It's just not complete football. It hasn't been since the beginning of the season. I don't know what the Jets can do to kind of turn that around, but at this point, something has to be changed up before the following season.
Very interesting point there about Elijah Moore, because he did have 1 catch on the 1 target. And then you're talking about Corey Davis, 3 targets today. He had the 1 catch.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to cut it, you know, when you have that many playmakers and they're not able to kind of contribute to the game. You know, I'm going to talk about it over and over again, but I also really want to talk about the defensive side, you know, because those guys, you know, you don't want to call them, you don't want to put so much on their back, but I think these guys, they call themselves a championship defense, and in order to win those championships, sometimes you have to get takeaways, and that just has not been the name of the game for this Jets defense.
And how about when you look at the run games again, the Jets' run game just went south at a point this season, right around the Minnesota game. It just never came back. You're talking about the Jets today against the Dolphins, 20 carries, 38 yards, and Miami finished 32 carries, 162 yards. The yardage really surprised me from my vantage point, because I thought the Jets were going to load up that box against a guy who was struggling out there in Skylar Thompson making the start for the Dolphins.
Yeah, that's a great point. You would think that would happen. And they had a few different players where they blitzed. I think somewhere in the 4th quarter, there was a play where they blitzed and they were able to prevent them from getting a 3rd down completion. But overall, it just wasn't enough pressure on Skylar Thompson. I will say, though, that there were a lot of times where he seemed under duress and he used his feet well. For a guy that's a low round draft pick, a guy that you don't expect too much of, he definitely played admirably out there against a very talented Jets defense. You know, so you hope that, you know, you can bring more pressure against a guy like that and really kind of rattle him. But he seemed a little bit confident, was making some plays for this Miami Dolphins offense.
Yeah, the Jets did bring the heat. And again, you talk about those dynamic guys on the outside for the Dolphins. You had Jalen Waddle today, 5 catches, 44 yards, but Tyreek Hill, 2 catches for 23 yards. Again, A great effort from Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed and company. You saw Bryce Hall come into the lineup late in the game, but Gardner, who easily could have shut it down after having a phenomenal rookie year, said he wanted back in, and he finished on the field. That speaks to who he is and what his DNA is.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I love the play he had. I think it was first or second quarter. It was him against Tyreek Hill. He had the outside leverage. Tyreek Hill tried to throw him by. That guy is too talented. I mean, every week I talk about Sauce Gardner's talent. You know, that's a guy that's hard to go up against because not only is he a rangy guy, he's got great length, but he also has great hips. He's able to stay with a guy like Tyreek Hill and a guy like DK Metcalf. So the Jets definitely have one in him.
All right. Here's today's game summary. Again, the Jets fall to 7-10, a sixth consecutive loss, 187 total yards. Interesting numbers there on third down, though. Flacco converted 7 of 16 chances. The Jets defense, primarily they were getting off the field on third down. Very tight game throughout, a field goal battle until the end when this game actually ended with the safety. But that leads us to the turning point. Q, it's late in the fourth quarter, right after the 2-minute warning, a 2nd and 9 play. Quincy Williams, who had otherwise a fantastic game today, was called for the horse collar, and it's a turning point because in a game when yards are hard to come by, that set Miami up inside Jets territory, as opposed to having a 3rd and 7. And, of course, Sanders finished that drive with the 50-yard field goal. Just an unfortunate play for a guy who played very well today.
Yeah, a guy that really played really well all year. Quincy Williams has been a guy that's been an energy boost, a guy that's out there, a high-energy guy that's going to make tackles, that's going to fly around the field. I mean, I've loved what he's put out there. He's had multiple 10-plus tackle games. He's sitting next to C.J. Mosley, another guy that gets a lot of tackles. So for you to go out there and compete with him tackle for tackle, that's a talented guy. But as far as this play, it's just one that just you can't have. It's just not. It's not championship football. It's not playoff football. It's not the football that they want to put out. It's not the product they want to put out. And it's unfortunate that you got to play a game where you're almost.
You got to be perfect.
Exactly. It's unfortunate that's the game you have to play. But, you know, when the Jets aren't able to move the ball on offense, you need the defense to come out week to week and play perfect football. You know, takeaways, not bad penalties down the stretch. Those are the things that the Jets need from this defense, and they weren't able to give it in this moment. And, you know, the Dolphins capitalized on that.
Yeah, this defense felt so much pressure during these games because you knew offensively the Jets were just so challenged. And again, you finished the season without an offensive touchdown in 3 consecutive games. But Quincy Williams gave it his all today, double-digit tackles and a sack. And Caroline Hendershot talked to him after the game.
Here with Quincy Williams. Quincy, what was Coach Saleh's message to the team in the way that you guys finished out the year today?
Playing hard and then playing with each other as a team and not giving up. That was the biggest thing. And then just working on this offseason, being consistent and finishing. So, like, a couple of games, they were close. We just got to finish. The beginning of the season was going in with the wins and stuff like that. We just got to finish on the end of the season. So that's going to be our thing that we focus on this offseason.
Not just today, but the past few games, what would you rate the defense's performance?
Really, we played as a team, and unselfishness, that was the biggest thing. So playing for our brother next to us, and at the end, the biggest thing is playing for each other, and at the end, everyone reached the benefit of it. So that was it.
Now, I know it's not how you wanted to end the season, but it was a big difference from last year's team. How does that help you digest the end of this season and move forward looking ahead to next year?
It gives us some building blocks. So I can say we started a foundation here, and now it's like about being consistent and going up for that, and then at the end of it, finishing. So I can say we got the building blocks. So started a foundation. Now it's time to build from that.
Now, this game obviously didn't go your way, but you specifically played a great game. What do you think was working so well for you today?
Really just playing unselfish, and then also talk to my brothers and stuff like that. And the biggest thing was, like, this is the last game that we had promised that we're going to be playing together. So really just playing for my teammates, knowing that that locker room is not going to be the same next year. So just taking advantage of the opportunity for real, and just playing for one another. Really, I was just doing my job, making sure I thought about it before the game, just playing for everybody's why, because everybody got a reason, you feel me?
Thanks for the time, Quincy.
Thanks for having me.
10 stops today for Quincy Williams, 3 tackles for loss, but on the other side of the ball, Garrett Wilson, finish. From start to finish, the guy just had an incredible season. You're talking about the Jets having 32 pass attempts, 32 targets today. He was targeted 17 times. He still came up with 9 catches for 89 yards. He would have had 100 yards, except for a few of those yards being taken away after that lateral that ended the game that resulted in the safety. Let's get to our telestration now, which is powered by Microsoft Surface as always. Garrett Wilson, drafted number 10 overall out of Ohio State. Just an incredible rookie campaign, Q. 83 catches, 1,103 yards receiving, and 4 touchdowns. And he did it with 3 different starting signal callers and 4 quarterbacks in all.
Yeah, I mean, if this guy's not Offensive Rookie of the Year, I don't know what it takes. The guy has had 3 different quarterbacks, and he's been putting up numbers with whoever is out there. So we're going to go to the film right here to watch what this guy did today. So we got Garrett Wilson up at the top. He's going up against his Miami Dolphins secondary with a cover 3, the third safety. You won't be able to see him. But this is a great play call by Mike LaFleur because it's a similar play to the touchdown he scored in the beginning of the year against the Browns.
Yep.
There he goes. Perfect pass from Joe Flacco, and a guy makes 3 guys miss right here. I'm gonna be able to slow it down right here and show you guys. It's just how talented this guy is. You catch that ball, it's very hard to catch the ball and be able to make guys miss like this, especially because a lot of times you're scared of what's gonna happen. He makes those guys miss, and then ducks underneath that tackle. I mean, so talented. The awareness is great. If he would have kept his feet, who knows? He could have scored a touchdown. Here's the other view of it. The guy runs a great route right off the backside of that defensive back. And then again, makes 3 guys miss. That's not an easy feat right there. A young guy, rookie receiver that's able to make guys miss no matter what is going on around him. Talented awareness. The duck is crazy because you never know. You never know that guy's going to be behind you. So for him to have that awareness while breaking 3 tackles is just so talented.
Great catch radius, and he's so dynamic after the catch with the ball in his hands, so explosive. Just how difficult is that, what he just did there, where he knows he's going to take a pop over the middle. He catches to secure the ball. But a lot of times I think you see receivers in the National Football League go down because they know they're going to absorb contact, where he says, no, I know multiple guys are going to hit me, and I'm going to keep on chugging.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge for him. As a rookie receiver, a guy that knows this league is all about physicality, he doesn't care. He goes out there and is willing to make those big hits and make more plays as opposed to going down. He's not satisfied.
All right, after the game, Caroline Hendershot caught up with one of the Jets' brightest building blocks, Garrett Wilson.
Here with Garrett Wilson. Garrett, the offense had trouble finding the end zone today. What wasn't clicking?
We've been trying to figure it out for the last 2-3 weeks. You know, we haven't scored in a while, touchdowns, and in this league, that's what it takes to win. And it just kind of sums up the whole season of finishing. You know, we got to be able to finish. We start hot, we start playing all right, but the end is what matters. You know, you got to be able to finish in this league, and we haven't been doing that the last few weeks.
I know you said earlier this week you haven't played your best ball for a few weeks now, but today you had a really good performance. What would you say about your performance today?
You know, I feel like I made the plays I had to make. You know, I've left some on the field for sure too, and I would have done anything to go out there and win that game. So, you know, obviously I didn't do enough, and I watched the film on the way back and see what I could do better, but you know, tough matchup out there. It's my first time seeing Xavier Howard. He's a really good player. And, you know, I feel like I learned a lot.
Looking back on your rookie year, what do you think is your biggest takeaway?
How long this season is, how violent it is. You know, it's really violent. Every week I'm going home not wanting to move, you know, once I get back. You know, just sitting there because it hurts, you know. And it's, I mean, that's the best way I could put it. This league hurts. You know, it's a lot of people that play hard, they play with everything. You can tell they're trying to feed their family, you know, chase their dream, and it's just a violent league that you got to be built to last. So, you know, going into this offseason, I just make sure I work on my body, maybe put on some weight, and just get stronger overall so I can, you know, be prepared to last in this, you know, this violent league.
Through the good, the bad, and the ugly, all that you've learned this season, what is your biggest thing that not only just your body that you're going to look forward to in this offseason for next year and coming back even stronger?
I love being able to work at the game. I love being able to go out and compete with, people that are chasing the same thing as me, being around like-minded people that want to be as good at their craft as they can be. So, being able to spend some time with my teammates outside of the facility and see how they go about their business in the off season as far as training and how they learn. I'm really excited for that. I feel like it'll be a good off season because I know it's been a long, year and a half. So, I'm excited to see how everyone goes about this off season.
Thanks for the time, Garrett.
Appreciate you, Garrett.
There's today's scoring summary. The Jets wrap up their season with a 6th consecutive loss. This one at the hands of the Miami Dolphins. Not much on that page. In a scoring league, the Jets come up with 2 field goals today. The defense held the Miami Dolphins to 3 Sanders field goals, but just not enough. And then there at the end of the game, the Jets offensively had the ball and did a bunch of laterals that actually resulted in a safety. That's how you get the 11-6 score in South Florida. Eric Allen here inside the studio. You're watching Jets Overtime presented by Sirius XM. Quincy Enunwa joins me as always. Q, It's time for the report cards. Be easy with that red pen.
So last week, I took it easy on these guys. I think I'm trying to hone my grading skills down. I learned a lot from AB. Shout out to him and the Battlehawks. And so this week, I think I'm right where I want to be in terms of grading. So we'll start with the offense. For the offense, I gave the offense a C. It's a challenging week. It's been a challenging season. I think if the season would have flowed differently, this grade would look different. If this was like a playoff chance to win a game. They had been doing so well. Hadn't been on a losing streak, I probably would have given them a different grade. I gave them a C. Joe Flacco threw for 149. They were only able to rush for 38 yards. This has kind of been the story of this team for the past few weeks. They haven't been able to get it going offensively. The offensive line hasn't been able to, or the protection hasn't been great, whether it be for the run game or for the pass game. So because of that, I gave these guys a C this game. They could have been better, but there wasn't any turnovers. Except for that last fumble. So a C is what they get for this one. Then defensively, I gave them a C+. I didn't want to put them in the B round because I feel like at this point now, they need to do more in order for me to give them that. I said in the beginning of the year, I was starting with an A and going from there. But I think I want to start with a C for the defense because I want them to prove to me that they can do well. They got a C+ because they kind of held them. They held Skylar Thompson to some degree. They made it challenging for him. But with the rush game, it was just brutal. I mean, to give up 160 yards to this Miami Dolphins running game when you're touting yourself as a championship defense, you just have to do better. I'm asking for better. I'm looking for better, and that's not what they gave me. So I gave them a C+. Then finally, special teams. They missed that field goal. Again, we say this every week. We want the special teams to go out there and kind of just be almost non-existent. Don't even know they're there. So with that missed field goal, I dropped them down. They ended with a B-.
All right, for myself, offensively, Q, I'm going to go Jets offense C-. Garrett Wilson, we could do the whole show on Garrett Wilson, how outstanding he was and how great he's going to be in the National Football League. But the Jets, and Joe Flacco was a gamer. He battled. Again, the Jets were down 3 offensive line starters today. But the problem for this team continued to be down the stretch the same thing. Could not run the football. You're talking about 20 carries, 38 yards. That's 1.9 yards an attempt. It's not going to work. That leads me to the grade for the defense. I give the Jets a C+ defensively, I guess, is up there. I actually thought I gave him a B-. But yeah, we'll go C+. Here's the problem with the defense. They were really good, and anytime you give up 3 field goals, that's a winning effort. But this team entered this game number 3 in the National Football League in yards allowed. And again, those guys were awesome on the outside. Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. Combined, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill were contained once again. But you were playing Skylar Thompson. You knew what was going to happen as far as running the football. The Dolphins were able to rush it for 162 yards and 32 attempts. So they kept possession of the ball. Special teams, B-. You knew the Jets were going to have to count on Greg Zuerlein. He hit 2 of 3. We expect so much from him. So when he misses a 55-yard field goal, we're surprised by it. That was unfortunate. But again, I'm not going to fault anybody for missing a 55-yard field goal. Braden Mann had a solid day. The only problem from this perspective was Mann had the 42-yard punt at the end. That was a short punt that set the Dolphins up, and that eventually led to the field goal after the penalty. Another disappointing afternoon for the New York Jets. Overall, Joe Flacco was looking for career victory, 100 in the regular season. Didn't get it, but he talked to Bob Wischusen after the game.
Joe, how about the difficulties just trying to get ready for this game on a short week for you? Obviously, you haven't played much, shifting so many guys around on the offensive line. Was that reflective in the struggles today offensively?
I don't know. Listen, I thought we played a hard-fought game. I mean, obviously, points were tough to come by. But they did a good job kind of loading up against our run, and we did some things to move the ball and get in range, and we just couldn't kind of hit them with the dagger and get in the end zone. So. No, you know what? Listen, I think everybody out there had their mind right. And, I mean, me personally, I've played a million games. So, yeah, maybe was this a little bit different than any of the ones in the past? Maybe. But, they're all like that. And once you get out on the field, it all kind of takes care of itself.
You've played a million games, as you said, so you've seen a lot of different types of teams. When you look kind of wide-angle lens at this group, despite the struggles at the end, I mean, if you were to try to maybe give a Jet fan some reassurance that going forward – the DNA of a good football team is here, what would you tell them?
Yeah, listen, it starts good teams and teams that are going to be able to kind of sustain their, how good they are through the playoffs and even get better late in the year. I think we're building that here. I think it starts with defense. I think you saw, that our defense was able to turn the corner this year and really become, one of the best defenses in the league. And I think that's just the beginning. I think there's little things that we need to clean up on offense to kind of take the turn ourselves. But if you want a team that's built to win in December and January, which we didn't do at all this year, I do think that we have the right foundation here that is going to get that to happen. And it's not always going to be pretty, but those are the types of games you're going to have to play and win. Late in the year, and I think we got the guys to do it, and I think we got the scheme and the head coach and everything that goes along with that.
Joe, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's Joe Flacco, guys. Back to you.
Let's go big picture here, Quincy. When we looked at the schedule in the offseason, everybody was saying, hey, the Jets just have to hold on at the beginning, and they'll be able to make a run at the end. Well, look at what happened. The Jets start 5-2. Their high water mark, looking back at it, was that victory over the Buffalo Bills. That pushed them to 6-3. We talked about getting to 7-4, the playoffs right in front of them, right in their grasp. But they end the season on a 6-game losing streak. How, for the guys who are going to be in that locker room next year, do they not let this carry over? And how can they use this as the motivation that they need in the offseason? Because, again, for the Jets fans at home, they're beyond hungry. You got to be irate right now because it's been 12 seasons without a Jets playoff berth.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to hope that these guys don't carry this bad feeling in the wrong way over to the next season. These guys are getting paid high amounts, very high amounts compared to the general population, right? So you're looked at as this is what you're supposed to do. And I believe as a former player, this is what you need to do. Like, you're going into this next season, you should have new motivation. Last season doesn't even need to motivate you, especially because you're going to have a lot of new pieces coming in, regardless of what happens, who's still here, who's not still here. Your motivation every year should be championship. And they talked about it during the year. I think they're going to think about it again next year. Regardless of whatever's going on, whatever the noise is coming from the outside, you want to win a championship. And so you shouldn't need last year's motivation to put you there. It should just automatically be inside of you. And I think that this year they kind of did have that. There was just so many bad breaks for this team. And I hate to make excuses because a lot of teams have bad breaks, whether it be injuries, whether it be whatever the case may be. But they just were not able, they were just insurmountable. They weren't able to overcome them. They didn't know how to kind of shift the focus and make sure that they made this a championship team. And so, they got to go into this next year with that same focus, but bringing something a little bit more.
Quincy, quarterback is the most important position in the National Football League, might be the most important position in all professional sports. Robert Saleh said after the game today, we will get that spot right. It's going to be an interesting offseason looking at the dynamics because Saleh mentioned it. Mike White, he has an expiring contract. Flacco has an expiring contract. And, of course, this wasn't the year that anybody could have expected for Zach Wilson.
No, not at all. And, I think another offseason will be very helpful for Zach Wilson. He's in a tough spot as a young quarterback. I played with a young quarterback, and to thrust him out there, not every quarterback can go out there and do exactly what you're expected to do. There's a lot on your plate. Protection, you got to know the routes. You also got to know the run game. So I'm sure that there's a huge possibility that all those things were just a lot on his plate, and he wasn't able to really focus on the other details of being a quarterback. Hopefully going into this next year, he really takes the two benches he has to heart and goes into the season thinking, okay, I need to be better. Because if he's not doing that, then we're going to have a lot of trouble at the quarterback position. It looks like this guy's a competitor. You're not a first-round draft pick. You're not a guy that's really confident if you're not a competitor. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this season kind of affects him going into next year.
A lot of very interesting moves ahead for the New York Jets. Let's end here. We started the week, Monday Night Football, Damar Hamlin, cardiac arrest. We saw throughout the National Football League, including today in South Florida, the players honor him and also show their love throughout the NFL. I thought it was a great day for the league. There's Jordan Whitehead, the former college roommate of Damar Hamlin. Those two played together at Pitt. What did you think about what you saw there from the Jets today, the Dolphins, and everybody in this league?
Yeah, I thought it was a beautiful showing. I think, I've said it before that this is a very brutal sport. And so to see the humanity, seeing guys wearing the shirts, seeing guys really caring, coming together. You got a couple teams meet up before the game. A lot of people wearing his jersey. I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a really human moment, right? Because I've said this before. This isn't really a game that you would see. I mean, this is barbaric, right? Like this isn't today's a sport that would be created today. Most times now you're seeing pickleball and things without contact. So we play a very challenging sport. We play a very physical sport. So when these guys are able to kind of shed that exterior, that physical exterior, and still show that they care about their brothers, it's a brotherhood. I think it's a beautiful moment. And, I hope that, Damar continues to get better and, we continue to see great things.
Yeah, all signs progressing well for Damar Hamlin. As we continue to get news out of Cincinnati as he remains there in a hospital. Neurological condition in good shape. So he has taken a lot of steps since Monday night when the National Football League froze. But we will continue to pray for Damar and his family here in the days and the weeks ahead. And also we salute everybody in the National Football League and medical professionals beyond the NFL, the nurses, the doctors, the training staffs who continue to help us each and every day, and the players on that field. They saved Damar Hamlin's life. So,
definitely.
Yeah, it was a great moment today, I think, for the league. And our thoughts and prayers continue to be with Damar Hamlin. Great stuff from you, Quincy, as always. Unfortunately for the New York Jets, they fall again today. 11-6 was the score in Miami. 6 consecutive losses to end the season. A lot of bright spots early, but for the Jets, just not enough down the stretch. From everybody here at One Jets Drive, we want to thank you for tuning in to our live game day programming throughout the year, Pregame Central and Jets Overtime, and we'll be back next year.